Have you ever wondered what you'd get if you took Minecraft and added terrifying zombies, aliens and fire-breathing dragons? Well, you'd probably end up with something that looks a lot like CastleMinerZ. CastleMinerZ is essentially a Minecraft clone that first released November 9th, 2011 on the Xbox 360 indie marketplace. The indie marketplace was a sort of offshoot of the arcade marketplace that offered up smaller scale indie games for extremely low prices. This was also at a time that Minecraft itself hadn't yet made its way onto the Xbox store, so there was a big gap in the market for an open world voxel based game that many were ready to try and fill. There are a few standout Minecraft-like games around this time, including Total Miner, as well as Castle Miner and Fortress Craft, and of course, CastleMinerZ. These games would beat Minecraft to the punch, releasing on Xbox 360, and all achieved huge success in a relatively captive market. Around August of 2011, Fortress Craft had become the highest grossing Xbox Live indie game title of all time, raking in over $1 million and selling almost 1 million copies before Minecraft could release. This success was closely followed by Total Miner, which sold a similar number of copies, but CastleMinerZ would surpass them both by becoming the fastest selling Xbox Live indie game of all time, and doing so in only 9 months. While these imitations all had their own unique spins on the Minecraft formula, none were as horrifying as CastleMinerZ. Like Minecraft, CastleMinerZ involved a lot of mining and crafting, from harvesting wood and ores to crafting tools, but its atmosphere and world was much darker and involved more adult themes like firearms. Yes, you can beat back zombies with an AK-47 or blow up a dragon with an RPG. The concept of building a base, mining for resources to upgrade your equipment, and surviving the night are still a mainstay, but CastleMinerZ also expands your in-game goals to travelling as far as you possibly can in its infinite in-game world. Using a distance tracker, you're able to keep track of your highest distance travelled, and the further you venture, the harder and more frequent enemies become. Nights are very much different to Minecraft, and hunkering down in your probably crudely built stone home is a must. Zombies and skeletons will swarm you with inhuman speed and savage you before you can get back to the safety of your cube, so this time is best spent crafting and preparing for the trip ahead of you the following day. This is where the horror element can really start to hit. CastleMinerZ gets pretty bizarre the deeper you get into it, eventually branching out into crashed spacecraft, aliens, and a literal underworld to explore if you dig down deep enough. Oh, and did I mention, there's also a gigantic demonic overlord too. There's a few features like loot blocks that can give you a real boost as you progress. Handing out random rewards like ammo or ores, sometimes you can get lucky and find stuff like laser guns and special equipment. Like Minecraft, there are also monster spawners that can be defeated in return for similar loot rewards. While there are some unique block types like alien goo and bloodstone, a block that seems to be made entirely out of flesh, there's a lot less variety in the blocks than you'd have access to in Minecraft. This is where I feel the most disappointment with CastleMinerZ. Outside of stone and wood, there's not much you can actually build with in its world. This is probably its biggest and strangest downfall, because its predecessor Castle Miner had those elements at the time, and so did all of its competitors. What's a world you can build anything in, when you can build nothing? For a Minecraft clone, CastleMinerZ does its best to offer a unique spin on the concept of surviving a voxel-based sandbox by offering up 6 different, but very similar game modes. Many of these modes are essentially just survive, but differently. Of course there's a creative mode too, but the modes that stand out the most are the Dragon Endurance mode, which boils down to a wave survival game type against dragon enemies, and the Endurance mode, which focuses solely on how far you can travel across the world. What makes CastleMinerZ so spooky though, is its horrifying sound design. Every creature and biome have uniquely disturbing audio effects, from blood-curdling screaming and growling to the dripping of water echoing through dark and unknown caverns. The screeching of zombies is something you'll have to get used to, as this is a constant companion in the game. Even while hidden away in the safety of your makeshift bunker, noise really has a way of travelling in CastleMinerZ, no matter how thick your walls are. The creepiest use of this unnerving sound design has to be the literal hellscape deep below the surface of the map. As you descend deeper and deeper into the earth, you'll eventually encounter a nightmarish new biome that welcomes you in with the distant wailing and low ritualistic humming. Revisiting CastleMinerZ has been a real trip down memory lane. Before Minecraft had hit the Xbox 360 store, this was one of the main substitutes for Xbox players back in the day, and my group of friends would play CastleMinerZ regularly. The game really has a way of pulling you in, and for the cost of just $4 you can't go wrong in picking it up and experiencing that nostalgia again. But it got me wondering, with the release on Steam and the further sales, why hadn't there been much progress with its development? It seems almost identical to that Xbox 360 version I'd played so much over 10 years ago. DigitalDNA Games had achieved massive success with their CastleMinerZ hit, one that would soon steer them in the direction of other emerging gaming trends. With Call of Duty dominating the Xbox 360 online space, DigitalDNA moved forward with the strategy of replicating their success in imitating Minecraft, but this time with Call of Duty. Avatar Warfare was their first attempt at tapping into the more competitive shooter space in 2013, after wetting their feet with their previous and more light-hearted Avatar Laser Wars, and featured box art that looked very, very familiar. This was followed up by CastleMiner Warfare in 2014, presumably a two-pronged approach to achieve another hit by appealing to both the existing fans of the CastleMiner games as well as to capitalise on the popularity of first-person shooters at the time. In 2017 came DigitalDNA Zombies, a more refined and technically impressive top-down zombie shooter that featured destructible environments and 4-player co-op. It was described as, players choose one of 4 classes. Together the players work cooperatively to move from safe room to safe room. If a player makes it to the safe room, the other players have a chance to respawn and play again in the next round. And in 2018, DigitalDNA would chase the dragon one final time, with an open world battle royale game called Death Toll, releasing hot on the heels of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds a year prior. Death Toll was moderately well received on Steam by those who did play it, but active players never seemed to crack 100, and the game was made free to play a year later, with support for online servers ending altogether soon after. Not much has been heard from DigitalDNA regarding future projects, but there has been a glimmer of hope for fans of CastleMinerZ in recent years, with the appearance of an upcoming Kickstarter campaign for a remake of the game. However, the last public mention of CastleMinerZ was in a tweet advertising that the box art was up for sale as an NFT. One final trend to round things off for DigitalDNA. CastleMinerZ was kind of a trailblazer. While being at the right place at the right time, it also managed to merge the whimsical idea of creative freedom Minecraft offered in its voxel-based sandbox, with a dark and gritty atmosphere brought together by surreal environments and brilliant sound design. And also guns. This combination of more intense horror elements, a Minecraft-esque voxel environment, and real-world weaponry was clearly a recipe for success. Only 2 years later with the open world zombie survival game 7 Days to Die release, which has since seen a similar rise to fame. Also combining the same horror elements, blocky world, and realistic weaponry. A part of me wishes that DigitalDNA had stuck with and gone full force on CastleMinerZ, carrying it into the present day. Undoubtedly, CastleMinerZ had found a niche that even Minecraft was not interested in competing in, and one that even 7 Days to Die would seek to fill. And while many other Minecraft clones have fallen into obscurity, CastleMinerZ and its appeal have remained, all these years later. It really makes you wonder, what could CastleMinerZ have become? If you enjoyed this video and want to see more survival game based content, subscribe, hit the like button and leave a comment, as this really helps out the channel and I'd really appreciate it. Before you go, why not check out one of my other videos on screen now. Goodbye.